Are you ready for this? All I've ever wanted was for us to be together.
We are talking about the movie Bloodcraft. This one is directed and co-written by James Cullen Bressick. Now, this is an interesting movie because it has a kind of a concept here where I feel it takes some risks. This film has got pretty much everything that's going to kind of offend someone. You've got, paedophilia potentially. You've got incest. You have got one very uncomfortable scene involving a coat hanger. It's a very kind of, it's not graphic, you don't see stuff on scene, but the implied stuff here is pretty much every taboo you can kind of think of. So what's the story? So this movie focuses on two sisters. Now, it kind of cuts between flashbacks when they're kids, but with the bulk of the story here is when they're adults. And they've been estranged, and they've ultimately kind of come back together as adults. And then they kind of go back to their kind of childhood home, and their father has passed away. Now we kind of see at the beginning he's like some type of religious guy, like a preacher or something. But he, as we learn through the movie, was very kind of abusive to his daughters in a variety of kind of different ways, physically, sexually, mentally. And he's dead. But these girls, that's not good enough for them. They actually want their father to suffer, so they actually kind of want to bring his soul back to torture it ultimately. So the motives for our protagonists are quite bad. I mean, these are, that to me is a fairly kind of a dark thing. So these are our protagonists, but they kind of want to torture someone who is dead. So the setup here is very unique, I would say. And this is one of the things I would say with this film is that I have to applaud it for, is this kind of fairly kind of unique setup. Now there are some twists and turns along the way, and one of the twists I thought was really cool. And there are other people that kind of get involved with the story as well, particularly this one guy. And there's not much on screen that happens, I would say, but there's a lot of interesting ideas here. So for me, as I've said on other reviews, if you have a good idea and it is kind of somewhat unique, then to me that goes a long way. And I thought this movie does have some interesting ideas. I mean, the idea here is it's kind of like witchcraft and kind of blood magic. There are some flashbacks that allude to these girls' mother being somehow kind of involved in kind of witchcraft and kind of like that sort of thing. Although I kind of question whether a preacher would marry someone who was a practicing witch, but what do I know? Anyway, so I guess witchcraft is kind of the theme here. But like I said, the characters, these two girls, these two women, they're doing something pretty horrific. I appreciate obviously what's happened to them before, but nonetheless, it's almost saying, do two wrongs make a right? Is that the lesson of this film? Is there some kind of deeper meaning here? Probably not. It's just kind of, it is what it is. I actually quite liked the acting by our two female leads here. I will admit it took a while for them to grow on me because I did find initially, I don't know, I wasn't quite buying it when the film sort of started, but as the film kind of went on, I kind of bought their relationship more and more. As we learn more things throughout the movie, and we see the kind of how damaged both of these women are in different ways. I mean, one of them is kind of like is a recluse and kind of is more sheltered and definitely more vindictive, and she kind of has vivid memories of everything. The other one has kind of tried to bury it all and has kind of like, she's ended up working as sort of a stripper and kind of stuff like that, and she's like a bit more kind of like, I guess a bit more sort of feet on the ground, but she's obviously clearly kind of messed up with it. Yeah, so that was kind of, it was interesting to kind of see these sort of characters kind of break down these kind of emotional walls. The effects in this movie are a mixed bag. In regards to prosthetics, there's some okay work here in regards to prosthetics. Not that there's a lot here, but I thought that was quite good. When we see kind of like the father's body and all of this, that was quite, there's some quite fun effects that happen with that. But there are some really cheap CGI effects in regards to this kind of, you know, these kind of the spirits and stuff like that you'll see. Really cheap, really cheap. So yeah, the effects are kind of a bit of a mixed bag. I will say, I do think, because we just sat in this house for pretty much the whole film, I don't know, at times it just got a little slow, because you just kind of watching these girls just do this spell for half the film, and I don't know, I think it needed a little bit more, maybe some characters involved a little bit more to kind of like space it out, because it got a little tiresome, but you know, we do have another character that's kind of introduced into the mix, and kind of, I don't know, at that point it kind of, I feel it kind of finds its feet a little bit again, and you know, it really becomes a very high concept horror film in a way, with some really kind of unique and very dark ideas. So not one, I would say, for, not that you really see that much, but like I've said, but you know, it doesn't leave much to the imagination in regards to what it's implying here. So there's some, you know, this film goes into the dark corners of the horror universe. So it's kind of a real interesting film, although it visually it's not all that gripping to a point. And like I said, it took me a while to warm up to the characters. I think that's partially because I feel the characters are a little dislikable because of what they're doing ultimately. But again, it makes it unique. And I got to say, I actually quite like the ending here. I thought the ending was quite strong. So overall, I've got to say, I feel this movie has some flaws. And it can kind of be, maybe, I think people watch this, I think it's a little boring, or there's not really much happens, or there's kind of like, you know, there's crappy CGI effects. And I feel that's what people will just kind of see. But I feel if you kind of maybe look a little deeper with this film, there's some good ideas here, there's some good writing. So I think it's a case of, it needed a little bit more kind of money put into it, a little bit more time maybe, but I feel the ideas are solid. But it's not for everyone, because it is, like I said, pretty kind of, at least it kind of makes your imagination do one. So I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.